Everybody knows when PETA comes calling, it's time to listen up. As someone who grew up just really loving animals, when I learned about what happens to them, it overwhelmed me, and I felt I had to do something. My name's Tracy Reiman, and I'm the Executive Vice President of People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, PETA. And I have worked for PETA for 33 years. PETA is the largest animal rights organization in the world. We have more than 9 million members and supporters. And we work to educate people about the suffering of animals on farms, in laboratories, for entertainment, and for clothing. And we do that in a number of different ways. You name it, we do it in order to educate people about animal rights and how they can help stop suffering.
So PETA's work is crucially important. PETA was founded in 1980 with the goal of establishing and defending the rights of animals, and we operate under the simple principle that animals are not ours to use and kill in laboratory experiments, to eat, to wear, or to exploit in any other way. Every animal is someone who feels fear and pain and joy and love, who has a family, who has social relationships, who mourns, who grieves, who strives. Animals are so much more like us than we ever think. In fact, they're actually like us in all of the ways that matter.
They don't need the right to drive. They don't need the right to vote, but they do need the right to live free from suffering. It's up to us to fight for animals. They cannot do it themselves. They are innocent and they have no ability to protect themselves from humans. So someone's got to do it. I've probably done 1,000 protests in my time at PETA. I've personally been arrested doing an I'd rather go naked than wear fur demonstration in London and other places to just drive home this point that it doesn't matter how I feel, if I'm cold or if I'm uncomfortable, if I'm sitting in a jail cell, it's worth it to get the message out to the public. One of the, most well-known demonstrations where I was arrested was when SeaWorld had a float in the Rose Parade. Orcas do not want to perform for humans in tiny tanks where in the wild they can swim more than 150 miles in a day, and at SeaWorld they swim in circles endlessly. So we set out that morning to disrupt the parade, and we did it. As soon as the SeaWorld float pulled up, a number of us went and sat down in front of the float, which was surrounded by riot police because they knew we were going to be there, but it didn't stop us, and we were all arrested and taken to jail. The experience is unpleasant, but again, it's nothing compared to the suffering that these orcas live in every day in their own prison at SeaWorld. Typically, civil disobedience is a planned action, and you do it because everything else you've tried hasn't worked. And honestly, one time a reporter told me when I called about a basic protest that we were doing, if you're not scaling something or setting something on fire, don't bother calling. Sorry, it makes me emotional to say that. I don't know why it does, but these things get emotional. It was that mentality that forced us to start doing things like taking off our clothes, scaling buildings, doing sit-ins, taking over offices, because we know that if you get on the nightly news, then you reach millions of people.
The best part of going to a protest is you're just helping to educate the public about what happens to animals, which they would never support if they only knew the reality of it. As soon as people actually think about what happens to animals in these industries, you almost never meet someone who is okay with the kind of exploitation and violence that is going on here, because most of the time people just aren't thinking about these things, and our mission in the animal rights movement is to just make sure that people keep on thinking about animals and don't sort of do this thing where they just think out of sight, out of mind.
Participating in civil disobedience is, I think, an honor. Getting arrested for something that you feel passionate about, while it can be a little bit scary, especially the first time, because you don't really know what's going to happen ultimately. It's empowering to know that you are putting it all out there, you are giving it everything. And I think people respect you for that. They may question it, they may worry about it, but at the end of the day, you know that you've done everything you possibly can to stop the suffering of that animal or the animals that you're trying to help. Do the ends justify the means? We believe so, and we feel that we have a duty actually to use whatever campaign ideas, tactics, or whatever in order to get the message out. You know, I come to work every day ready to take on whatever the challenge we face is, and there are many. We are often met with angry people on social media. You can see it on every single post. Some of the people who most vehemently disagree with us are the ones who are on the verge of changing their life because they are feeling defensive because they know what they're doing is wrong. And they want to do the right thing, but they don't know how, or they don't want to. I mean, it's hard to make a decision that you're going to live your life in a different way. So yes, it's important that, you know, we address people and force them to look at the issues, whether they want to or not. And we are used to the backlash. We are not here to win friends, but we are here to influence people and change people. We're not afraid to embarrass ourselves. We are not afraid to offend people if that's what we have to do in order to get them to see what we know they need and want to see. We have seen enormous change in 33 years. The amount of vegan food that is available in every grocery store in America is a huge testament to the work that we have done. The circus is gone and now come back as human performers only. Almost every single beauty brand is now not tested on animals where it once was. Fur is dead, literally. Nobody wears it, nobody wants it. Any fur you see now is fake, even if it looks real. So we're seeing huge progress. Not fast enough for the animals, that is. We have a huge uphill battle. I mean, animals who are used for food suffer incredibly in the meat industry, and we need to do more there.
You don't have to be involved in animal rights because you love animals. You can just get involved with animal rights because you hate injustice. I think one thing everyone can agree on is that injustice is a bad thing. Suffering, exploitation, and violence are bad things, and if you oppose those things, you should join us in the movement. So if you wouldn't do something to another human, don't do it to an animal, or don't pay someone to do it to an animal for you. You know, we're all on this planet together, and it only makes the world a better place when we can figure out how to live in a more compassionate and kind way.
Everybody should support animal rights. If you have a dog, if you have a cat, if you have empathy, this movement needs you. Animals need you, because every day millions of animals are suffering. We need to work until every single one of these animals doesn't have to suffer that existence anymore.